ladies and gentlemen, Tampa Bay legend, NFL legend, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Big Bad Brad Johnson, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, this is
Let's
awesome.
What is up, man?
How you guys doing?
Oh, man, we are well, brother. What about you, man?
Doing good. Doing real good.
Man, I'm liking that backdrop you got back there. You got some action there, don't you? Look at all those
Oh,
helmets
man,
and
we got a
everything.
lot of action. All right. You can see, you're in my ping pong room right now. You can see my Lady Bird guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
love
You
it.
can see all
Yes.
the chatter over there and stuff. So this is where we are, man.
Wow,
I bet
that's
you have
awesome.
had some competitive moments on that ping pong table, hadn't you?
It's brutal, man. So I don't know if you can see over here. Can you see in the far corner? I don't know if you can see the trophies over here?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Hold on one second. I'll take you over here.
All right.
So that you
Perfect.
see what the fuss is all about. So
I love
we
it.
play. I don't see all these championship belts. See the belts?
Yeah.
That's what we play for. We play
Okay.
for the
All
belts.
right. So it get
So
it
you'll
gets
put your name
real.
you'll put your name on the back. When you win or lose, your name goes on the back.
Wow.
So
Wow. Oh, that is really serious.
There's no change in the there's no distorting the reality later when somebody says, "No, I beat you, man. You were drunk." You're like, "No, I got the
Yeah.
belt, man. We
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
on the belt. This is where
No
it's at."
doubt. No doubt. It's like you put it on your car and drive around like it's a hood ornament.
Absolutely.
That's
I'd never
exactly
take it
right.
off.
No, it's just like winning one in wrestling, in the WWE
Or fantasy
whatever.
football
I mean,
even.
you don't ever want to relinquish the belt
No.
when you
That's right.
got it.
Strap, man.
So
That's right.
who's the record holder? Who has the most belts?
Well, I got the most belts, but here's the deal. I'm at the point now. I only play people I can beat. I don't want to give those things
Smart.
up. You know what I mean?
That
good
is
stuff.
smart.
Yeah, you
smart
were-
champion. That's a smart champion.
Yeah,
Fun
no
and all
doubt.
until your kids got big enough where they were actually
Well.
competitive. And you're like, all right, now y'all play each other. I'm playing my friends.
Well, that's for sure. Right now, Max, my oldest son, he's really, really good at ping pong.
Is he-
And it's I used to just kill him now. No, he's got the belt. So I kind of
Oh, there we go.
I'm holding it for him like it's mine, but it's his belt. So
I love it.
I'll give credit where credit's due.
No doubt. You think the ping pong and stuff helps the hand-eye coordination for what quarterback has to do?
I do. I think all sports there's a carryover, and I wouldn't
Yep.
say just because you're good in ping pong or golf, you're good at football. But
Mhm.
I really do like, and I think I go back to like my basketball days. Like, one, you're playing a team sport, but there's so many plays that take play. Like there's an out of bounds play. Is it man to man? Is it full court? What kind of press is it? Is it odd front, even front? Is it how much time's on the clock? How much timeouts do you have? Like, how do you set the pick and roll? Like, what's the play on the sidelines? Can you come up? Can you be a quick twitch thinker and not alone a competitor and win, lose, deal with adversity, deal with all of it. But I do think there's a carryover, from just competing in sports. Like, I think it matters. Are you coachable? Can you help others? Are you the best player on the team? Are you the last player on the team? You know what I mean? Like, how to be a good teammate regardless. I think there's a huge carryover, for quarterbacks and for all athletes really to play some kind of multiple sport. And I honestly think that's one of the big, coaches brag on in high school. We want multiple players, but they're not really set up for that. Like, you take your
Right.
summer workouts. I'm not trying to change the subject on you, but
No.
but
That's
but
where
I
I was
really
going
am.
with it.
Yeah, like summer workouts. Okay, so here in Georgia, I mean, football. It's you know, what I mean, you live
it's
it,
life.
man. I mean, yeah, it's life. It
Yeah.
means something. You know what I mean? So you have workouts at from 7 to 11 with the practice and then the weights and running, but then you have basketball that takes place then. But then you're trying to go to some college camp, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, Sunday. But then they want you to run the 40, and then they going on the clock, and like, how can you do it all?
It's a grind, man.
It's a grind.
It is insane right now. So I've got kids that are 17 and 11, and it's just nuts what the expectations are, especially like my youngest one playing baseball. In baseball, it's wild what they expect, and I've been hesitant to kind of go full bore into some of this stuff because, like, hey, when I grew up, you could play 3 sports, and you could, you know what I mean, and it helped you to balance yourself out. And there were some great athletes. If you were really good enough, you were going to make it. But now, dude, it's the demand is just off the charts, man, and what they expect and the expectation is. But at the end of the day, you got to put the work in, and whatever the blueprint is for the day, you better follow it if you want to get to where you're trying to go, so.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's the one thing that I could say has always been the MO for you, Brad, is you put the work in your whole career, and watching you. Yeah, you're just a little bit older than me, but not much.
Yeah,
and I watch you play in your whole career, but you always seem to outwork everybody. And that was just the thing. You were so determined, and you still seem to be that way, even with all the trick shots and everything. Your determination is there.
Trick shots are great.
But I wanted to ask you. My son is starting to play football. He starts camps in July, and he's going into the 6th grade. And I wanted to know if you had any. He actually had this question. If you had any advice for him moving forward, going into that. He's played soccer pretty much since 4 or 5 years old, and that's been his thing. He's a big boy. I think he's going to be on the line. He's a little too big for soccer now, getting to this age. But any advice for somebody starting out? Because I know you've had boys that play.
Yeah. I tell you, be great at your craft. Be great at what happens in games. If you want to spin a basketball on your finger, you're probably good at spinning a basketball, but that's not really what you do in a game. And there's a book by Petey Carril, who's a head coach at Princeton. He says, practice what happens in games. So those kind of things. You're going to be good at trick shots, then go do trick shots. But that's not what really happens in games. And so my dad always says, he always taught me a couple things. It's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So that kind of thing happens. And another thing my dad said, he said, everyone practices when you go to practice, we all practice. But how do you get better than your competitor or better than the guy on your team? And you have to practice on your own and then challenge yourself in those things, whether it's lifting weights or whether it's shooting extra baskets or whether it's throwing extra passes or running extra routes, or if I'm a lineman, I'm blocking against a sled. And if I'm a young kid, like go to someone that really knows how to teach how to block. Like, I'm the dad. I don't know how to teach how to block. Let's go find somebody who can do that. Right. And I think the other thing is go compete. I remember the days growing up. We always talk about our days growing up, but I'm like, when I drive by the parks, I don't see like these big pickup games going on the hard court. Yeah. I see hey, I'm going to Atlanta. I got a trainer. Like, no, go on the hard court. Play shirts and skins, man. Like, go compete.
Go to the rec center.
Yes. Yeah, go compete. And winner stays and loser sits. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Your spot.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. But I tell you, and have fun at it, and like learn to deal with adversity, and you're not going to always win and those kind of things, but just go compete and be great at what happens in games, and just keep building your craft, and eventually the cream rises to the top.
That's right.
Yeah, I'd say going along with that, honing your craft, watching real game situation. I know for me, I like most of us played multiple sports in high school. I'm from Central Alabama. Watching NBA and NFL was as big for me as practicing with my coaches. A lot of times growing up, when we did too, your coach was a guy from church, or it was no offense to him, but it was the math teacher or the home ec teacher or someone. It wasn't necessarily a trained coach who played college ball or any pro ball or anything like that. Now we know high school programs have changed a whole bunch since we were all in high school, and most of them are. And I was there. I graduated in the late 90s and saw the transition. We finally got in a baseball coach that had, AAA experience, and we started winning games. It was just different then. But for me, before that was watching. If I watched every Hakeem, I was as tall as I am now when I was 12. I watched Hakeem Olajuwon every game I could watch, or the Atlanta Hawks, whoever their big man was, and I watched what he was doing every game. And then so before and after practice, I'm out there pretending I'm Hakeem Olajuwon now, because I'm watching him do it in the game, and I'm not. And we didn't have the distraction of now, getting peeled. You'd have to bought a VCR tape of trick shots to watch them back then. Right. So it's a little different. But I think going along with, like you're saying, I always said that, watch it. If you love it, watch it. Learn who the best players are. Emulate the best guy that's doing what you want to do, kind of thing.
I 1,000% agree with you. And there's that thing of the Malcolm Gladwell book where he says 10,000 hours to become great at your craft. Right. But sometimes that's not always the hours of just shooting or lifting weights or practice. Like, a lot of that, really, what you're saying right there is watch it on TV. Like, and so watch it on TV, but then also like I hate watching games on TV with like friends and people because they're always talking. Like I really want to hear what the commentator says. Like I really want to hear what he says, and the other part, like I don't know how the TV's things are going to streaming right now. I don't even know what channel games are on.
God, I know.
Yeah.
I missed the first quarter
crazy.
half the time because I
How
can't
to
find the
find
damn game. I
but,
have to
but
sign up for something.
yeah, but a lot of times at the end of the game, like that's when games are won and lost, and like on the NFL channel, whatever, like you go to the last 3 minutes of the game, like holy cow, are they clocking it? There's an out of bounds play. How are they scoring a field goal? They got to score a touchdown. Do they need an onside kick? They're down 10? Should they kick the field goal and then try to get the onside kick, or like what is the situation? Like learn situations and what you're talking about. Just like watch others play, and then have those conversations. Like, man, what do you think? Or what do you think? What would you do in this situation? Was that a good play? Was this 2 feet in bounds? Like,
Yeah.
like
Would you have
know,
went
just-
out of bounds or would you have stayed in?
Yeah. Like, holy smokes, that was a great double play. How'd they do that one? You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
whatever the sport is, but like watch it and not just watch the Instagram highlights and those kind of things. Watch someone's failure as much as success.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
You know,
They say-
Bill Russell didn't even watch it. I heard, I watched Bill Russell's documentary, last year, a couple months ago when it came out, and he was talking about when he was young on in University of San Francisco and early in the NBA, he was drawing the plays out on paper and visualizing them while he's sleeping. He wasn't watching anything. He wasn't even watching other people do it. He was visualizing the ball coming off the rim and drawing angles and figuring out how to rebound and play better defense by that. But putting the work in, but just in a completely
A
different
different
way,
way,
but focusing in. And a great point you made is watching it with people that want to watch the game, not just at a party. Because I'm the same way. If it's a big Bama game, I've watched 95% of big Alabama games by myself somewhere, whether it be my bedroom growing up, in college, wherever, by myself. Everybody else is somewhere else. I want to watch and listen. I want to hear it. I don't even want to go to the game. I want to watch and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine being a Super Bowl winning NFL quarterback and then watching the game casually after you've retired in a room with a bunch of people be like,
I'm sure everybody's
yeah, I don't
wearing
think
you
you
out.
see the game the same way that we see the game, Brad. I don't think
it's just a touch different. Just a touch
Just
different.
a little different. A little bit
I don't
different.
even see my friends when they're in the room because I got the volume. I'm turning the volume up as high as I can. You know, like
Get a hint.
Give me
Read
more
the room.
More cowbell.
Hint, hint. Hey, they'll eventually learn.
Do you ever
I
do you ever walk
bet
do you
you've
ever
trained
walk
a
in a
few of
room
them.
and somebody's pulling up the video of you throwing yourself a touchdown pass? Does anybody ever do that? Because I work in the music business, and that's the go-to when I walk in with a entertainer. They put on the music of the entertainer like that's what they want to listen to. Is themselves.
Yeah,
Your
right.
buddies do that when you walk in. They're like, "Hey, remember this?"
it comes up. It does come up in conversation. But the funniest thing was when, so I threw the touchdown pass myself back in 97. And then Marcus Mariota did it when he was with the Tennessee Titans against the Chiefs in a playoff game. And then Gruden, who coached me in Tampa, he was actually commentating the game. And when it happened, so I was actually at a basketball game. I heard it had happened. So I actually sent the video to Gruden. He didn't even know it. I don't know. And the next thing I know, he's got his own personal cell phone holding it up to America on whatever channel he's on. Hey, the Bull, Brad Johnson, just sent me the film of him doing it himself. He's trying to show America on his little phone back in the day.
That's
But
great.
it was a unique play that happened. I was the first one that ever did it. I was on the 3-yard line. I was with Minnesota Vikings. Did it against Carolina Panthers, and it was from the 3-yard line. And if I'd been from the 4-yard line, I might have been 1 yard short. So it worked out. It was kind of a cool.
You
one.
turned
It
the
has to be-
jets on. You didn't
Yeah,
see there was
no
no
doubt.
daylight. You
No
you
doubt.
turned right and put the jets on, buddy. I saw it. That's
Yeah.
right.
And you didn't step across the line of scrimmage, like you know what I mean. So that I kept
Yeah.
watching that Marcus Mariota when I was like, I think he may have stepped across the line of scrimmage too. I
Yeah,
keep looking
no
at
doubt.
that.
I agree. And as folks are listening to this or watching it, don't you worry. You can rest assured that video will be playing over you just describing it. So,
And
it
I don't
was
know if
awesome,
they-
man.
I don't know if they prepped you on this, Brad, but this our podcast is aired on the Bubba Army Radio Network out of Tampa area. It's the big morning show host and stuff. So it goes all this. It's all over the Florida thing. And I was the king of Tampa. I mean, do you ever have to buy a meal even now? Do you show up and everything's comp still?
It better be.
No, it really isn't. I feel like.
Well, we're gonna work on them. Then we got to remind them, y'all
guys.
Yeah,
get Bubba Army down there.
You've only had 2 ever.
Take care of that for you.
We only had 2 ever, and the other guy, he don't count. Big Bad Brad needs his because that's right. That was amazing. Yeah. I mean, that was amazing. I mean, we were all, we all watched it live action, and Gruden's Revenge, the whole deal. Chucky's back, the whole deal.
Yeah.
You guys had,
number one.
And you guys had a
squad. Number one defense.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, both teams just when you look back now, I mean, you think about those players, and even I can even remember playing the video games with you and Allstott and Barber, and I mean, it was just crazy.
Oh, yeah. I wanted that defense.
Yes,
I wanted that D.
Sick.
It was really it was a great team. Gruden came in. He brought in. I mean, really, when Brady won it, they brought in like 10 free agents of Gronk and Leonard Fournette and a bunch of guys, and Gruden brought in a bunch of guys too with Ken Dilger and Ricky Dudley and Joe Jaravicius and Keenan McCardell and Kerry Jenkins and Robin Oben and like. So he really, Michael Pittman at tailback. And so he upgraded us offensively in a lot of different ways. But he challenged our defense too. Now, like every day in practice was highly competitive in practice. And we obviously had one of the great defenses of the history. Ever. Had 4 guys make Hall of Fame now with Ronnie Barber and John Lynch and Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp. And hopefully Simeon Rice makes it. But every day, he, and the one thing that he brought in a bunch of new free agents, but he also brought in the belief that we were going to do it. And that really goes a long ways. He challenged us. No one in the building had been to a Super Bowl, not alone win it. And, it's funny when we played the Raiders, that was his old team, obviously, but everyone says, we knew their plays, but you know what? He'd been there for 4 years. They knew our plays too.
True.
Right.
We run the same. We run the same plays.
Right.
A lot of that gets lost. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. So they knew our plays a little bit more than us. But we had a great team, and it takes every a lot of great coaches were on that staff too, with Mike Tomlin and Monty Kiffin and Rich Bisaccia and Joe Barry and Rod Marinelli and Kirby Wilson. I mean, we had a lot of guys.
All-star.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of guys went on to become either coordinators or head coaches.
Yeah.
And so it takes it at all levels to accomplish that, and a little bit of luck along the way too.
Oh, for sure it does. And Brad, I'd heard you talking before, and this is kind of how we ended up here, I think, or how you ended up on our show. You talking about Kerry Jenkins. So both JR and I'm Blossy the One Man Posse, though, by the way. I'm the one that reached out to you on X. So we hadn't even formally introduced ourselves. That's Tigs over there with the green trim, and then we got JR the handler here. And so JR is a tour music manager, so he manages country music artists and stuff currently with Justin Moore right now. So but we do this for fun. So but I'd reached out to you, and because Kerry Jenkins, I'd heard you on another podcast or another radio show over a year ago, just talking randomly, and I heard you talk about how instrumental he was in kind of shoring up that offensive line, bringing him in there, and with other players as well that you'd mentioned, and I just thought that was super cool because Kerry went to Troy, so
yeah,
and he was there. And JR, I don't know if you remember him when he was there. He was there at the same time when our buddy Hal was the film guy. We saw him. I saw Kerry at two homecomings ago at Troy. We were hanging out and we were talking. He used to get Hal and make him sit next to him on every plane ride and every bus ride because Hal was smaller than all the other players.
More room.
So you need to talk about some film stuff. And so, so he'd have more room. So every time he'd be like, film guy, come on over here with me.
I definitely remember. He played with like Cleve and that whole bunch. I mean, that whole Lawrence Tynes. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's cool to hear Kerry get some love. Because he's not even in the Hall of Fame at Troy right now, and I'm kind of blown away. Like we got Super Bowl winning.
Yeah, dude, what a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. So how instrumental was Kerry? That's kind of my question. I was getting to.
Yeah, number 71. Yeah, number 71. Kerry was great. He came in. He I think at one time he might have been at LSU and transferred to Troy, or either way, however it worked out. And I mean, the biggest deal is you need somebody to give you a chance and believe in you. And Bill Muir is our offensive line coach, and we had Cozy Coleman and Kenyatta Walker as our right guard and right tackle, and then Jeff Christie was our center, and then left tackle was Robin Oben, and Kerry Jenkins was left guard. And though you got to have the trust in those guys to protect you and believe in you, and just we got better and better as the season went on. Like that year, Gruden came in and he'd call a play, and I'd have to get Gruden to repeat that play in practice. Like, how do you call that play again? You know what I mean? You go green right slot, 93W, heads up for Buster, heads up for 58 Dolphin, or check H2 Miami, green right, U shift to green left west, F short power 2 wide, banana Z over, heads up for 359 smoke. Like, coach, can you repeat that play for me again? You know what I mean? So that's kind of, and so, and so we had a bunch of new linemen, a bunch of new players. We all got better and better as the season went along, and Kerry was a huge part of our offensive line and what we accomplished that season. So a lot of times, and we had, obviously, we talk about the defense being tremendous, but we had so many great players on offense that just, they're probably some, Pro Bowl players instead of the Hall of Famers, but like, it wasn't like we were a bunch of damn wooden Indians over there either now. Like,
not at all.
So
no.
some great players that we averaged over 28 points a game that season on offense. It just doesn't get from about the 6th, 7th game on, that doesn't get talked about a lot. But Kerry was very instrumental in that whole offensive line. It was great to play with those guys.
There's 2 games that I still talk about from that season, but they're not related to you. Well, they are kind of in a way, but I'm a Saints fan.
Yeah.
Here it goes. Here it goes.
No, that's all I'm saying.
Get your win in.
It's all I got. That's all I got. No.
Hey, we beat Brady on their way too.
Yeah, I had no issues with Tampa Bay in 2001, 2, 3, 4. I had no issues. It's later on as the Breeze era and some of the, that's really where the disdain would come from Tigs with that. But I that was still an incredible season. Those 2 games were memorable for me because y'all were good. I mean, It was like, if we can win this and we can maybe sneak in the playoffs, maybe we can get on a run and finally make it to a Super Bowl. And it worked out. We finally got one, too.
Yeah.
So, but it had to be a similar feeling in Tampa that it was in New Orleans when New Orleans finally wins a Super Bowl. It's that relief of and it almost unbelievable from what the Bucks had been in the 70s and all of that, all the way through to finally get to the pinnacle. Same story with the Saints. They're very similar as to what that feeling's like. But, I mean, ultimately, you got to say that Tampa Bay has been more consistent with winning Super Bowls. So, that's the only good thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, the Saints, they beat us twice that year. And then they kind of faltered at the end of the season and got away from them. But there's always a huge rivalry there that doesn't really get talked about nationally, but it's kind of like that's
chippy.
It's very chippy. It's a brawl, but I tell you kind of a cool story. Like, so every player, every organization has their own story of how you got there and how you succeeded or whatever happens. But when we had the parade after the Super Bowl, it was like 3 days later. I don't think we slept for like 3 days. It was kind of one of those deals. But but we're all in these convertible cars and we're going down, and then there's people on top of buildings, and it was mayhem. Now everybody's on the boats. Everybody remembers Brady throwing the Lombardi Trophy from boat to boat. But when we first won it, it's always great. You don't ever forget the first, okay, guys?
Oh yeah,
that's it
for sure.
But when we won it, so we're in convertibles. John Lynch was the guy riding in the convertible with me. And then all of a sudden, he gets out of the convertible. He's running down the street like a wild man. And then Warren Sapp is in front of me, too. Warren Sapp, he jumps out of his convertible. They're over high-fiving fans, and then you got the police trying to get them back. But all of a sudden, about 20 yards in front of me, Warren Sapp and John Lynch, they're hugging each other like no other. Like, it's like, holy smokes. And I'm thinking about, well, they were here before. They were part of the Yucks. They were part of the orange creamsicle, and they were part of those teams with when Sam Weiss was the head coach, and they're just like just trying to get a team out there on the field, and then to see the dynasty that was built from a defensive standpoint to bring that Lombardi home to Tampa, like how much it meant to me, but how much it meant to them because they were there in the bad times, So so it's pretty cool to accomplish what we did, and to see those guys do it the hard way. All those years coming up.
Oh, dude, that is awesome. I mean, I can't even imagine like the time that you're down there too. Like you're in Tampa. I mean, like you get there, like I mean, you win a Super Bowl while you're there. So I mean, living in Tampa, what was that like for you, man? Like what was kind of the coolest thing outside of winning the Super Bowl, like that you did down there? While you were there for those 3 or 4 years?
When I was down there, I did nothing. I mean, honestly, like we just had our boys were born. Max and Jake were born right during that time, and then I mean, we lived up in Cheval, and I was either on the expressway or Dale Mabry driving to work and then drive home. Like
that was it.
I didn't really do a lot down there besides eat at Outback or Sonny's. I mean, that was a big deal. I mean, I just didn't do a lot.
Is good.
I've actually done a lot more since being gone. Just playing different golf courses and seeing different people down there. They've done a great job as far as inviting everybody back for different events and those kind of things. But when I was down there, I didn't do a whole lot.
That's probably why you won the Super Bowl as well, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly why.
You were focused.
He was
well, if you had two babies there, I mean, you guys, all you fathers out there know that, man, that's time sucker right there. You're not going to get any extra free time outside of dealing with that when they're real little. And like Lacey said, Matt, might have helped. You kept, you didn't get busted at the strip club or anything crazy. So that's always a plus.
No doubt.
The bad
it's kind of good. I've kind of seen that trend go away from the NFL. It was getting busted at the strip club with a gun or in your car with some weed. That was the thing. I hadn't really heard any of that lately. That's kind of all went away, which is a good thing. And Tampa would be an easy place to get in some trouble too, as we all know. But I will go off that question, Blasey, real quick. Weather-wise, you got to play in some unique cities in our country. I just got back from up in the Buffalo area. My wife and I we played a show in Niagara Falls Saturday. We stayed a few extra days and got to see that for the first time. And every place is different. The weather's different. The food's different. Like even the stadiums. I've been to some games at the Tampa Stadium, watched the Saints play, and it's a whole nother experience than watching a game at the Super Bowl or the Superdome. You know what I mean? The dome is crunk, music loud, crazy. Yeah. Everybody there rolls in late. In Tampa, it's a lot more chill. But as far as the cities that you worked in and lived in while you were there, working, what was some of the pros and cons? Any of that? What was your favorite? Do you like the heat down there, or did you enjoy getting to live somewhere it was cool for once outside of the deep South?
Yeah, I actually played in Minnesota for 9 years.
Right.
Played in Washington with the Redskins at that time for 2 years. That was a childhood dream of mine growing up in North Carolina because that was the closest team, NFL team, really to us, and I just loved them at that point. And then Tampa for 4 years and Dallas. My last 2 years in Dallas. But, I mean, as a quarterback now, I mean, I'm sitting there always watching the Weather Channel. Like, listen, I played for 17 years and never played in a rain game. Think about that.
Wow.
What? Wow.
You got to be lying.
I practiced in it, but I never played in a rain game. But
that's insane.
And I got rained on every time I've been to Tampa Stadium. It's rained for 10 or 15 minutes. We go up under the thing, wait, come back out, gets hot as hell again.
Dude,
that's amazing.
Impossible.
That's got to be a record for most games without a rain game.
It was crazy. So
that's a trivia question right there.
That really is.
I played in a few cold games, but never the rain game. But so from that standpoint, I actually love playing the Metrodome in Minnesota because you didn't have to worry about whether it's cold, hot, snowing, or whatever it was. You always were indoors and didn't have to worry about the weather and playing on fast turf. So from that standpoint, I loved it. But a funny little story in Tampa. The week before our very first game in Tampa, it rained, and we didn't have an indoor facility. So we went to a parking lot right next to us at the old one. People that know in Tampa, they get it. Like the old One Buck place is right there by the airport. The weight room was outside. The bath, we didn't have a team meeting room. Tony Dungy would come in there and he'd pull up a projector screen in the locker room, and we'd either sit on the floor or in our locker, and he'd go over that. The bathroom stalls didn't have doors on the bathroom
that
stalls.
Is crazy.
This wasn't that long ago.
No.
I mean, really and truly, it wasn't that long ago. That's crazy.
The people at One Buck or people in Tampa, they tell you about the old One Buck place. Now it's a Taj Mahal what they have, but we had we practiced in the rain in a parking lot deck. So you couldn't think about cars around you. Like, you couldn't throw a ball.
It's crazy, man.
That's what we had to do.
Wow.
So
I had no idea.
Crazy times. Yeah. So if you can win a
that makes
facility
it
like
even
that, you can win
sweeter,
anywhere.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
No
We
kidding.
we felt like we were full of grit, tough, playing in any
Yeah.
kind of circumstance, and those, kind of having to deal with, not having those kind of facilities or nice things. You just kind of learn how to deal.
Man, that's
Yeah,
wild.
it's
Yeah,
kind of like
Tampa's a different
we'll
place
show
down
y'all.
there.
You got all that nice stuff. We'll show you what us good old roughnecks, rough boys can do. Y'all in there all
We down there
fancy,
practicing
all
at the parking
fancy.
lot.
We'll show you what we can do. We practiced in the damn parking lot on the asphalt.
We did.
Yeah,
You got to dive over the car. Watch out.
That's
that's
the
the
real
same-
deal.
That's the same time during our Bubba the Love Sponge was going through his hog trial. Was that 2001, 2002? I don't know if you remember all that, Brad, when you were down there. You probably weren't, I don't know if you're dialed into any of that
What
stuff.
was that radio station that he was on?
I forget
really
that one at
big?
that time in
Yeah.
Tampa. But he's been on a few down there. But yeah, that's when they butchered, like, it's just a normal butchering of a hog. But anyway, he had to go through a hog trial. They tried to send him to jail for that was 01. So Tampa was a different crazy place then. They're practicing in parking lots. Bubba's going to
sounds
like
it.
Florida
trial
earned
for
its
killing a hog.
reputation. Florida has earned its
That's
reputation.
Florida man.
We can all
That is
agree
Florida
on that.
man.
Brad, what's your jam? What's your music? What do you listen to every day when you're doing these trick shots and all that kind of stuff? What's on your playlist?
Well, when you're out there, I don't have any music going. Okay, so it's just
Okay.
me. It's me, a bag of balls, a tripod camera, and a vision of how I'm going to make this shot or whatever I'm going to do. So, I mean, and so there's a couple taglines that go along with this. I don't know if people kept up with me, but it's either first time, first take, or it's a lifetime of practice to do what I do with these footballs and basketballs, or it takes what it takes. So a lot of my shots are usually a sequence of 3, 4, 5 shots in a row. It could be with a football. It could be with 2 basketballs at a time. It could be shooting over the backboard. It could be shooting the length of the court. It could be shooting free throws, one overhand, one underhand. It could be bouncing off the ground. Like, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. So these shots have either taken, honestly, like, it goes from first time, first take. It could happen within 3 minutes, or the longest one has been 15 and a half hours. So
Oh, man.
I try to make these things so hard that no one else can do them, from the standpoint of not can you just make a shot, but like, are you willing to stand there and take this many attempts and shots and just challenge yourself? Can you make the freaking shot, man? So I mean, like, so here's a sequence of how it goes. Like, so the first shot may be like 2 basketballs, a layup. Like, try that one. Okay, see how long that one takes you. And then go behind the backboard and shoot 2 basketballs over the backboard, and then come back and bounce 2 off the ground, and then finish with 2 basketballs with 2 free throws at the same time. So if I miss that last shot, the 2 free throws went in, I'm pissed, man. Like, it didn't go in. But think about
you got to start it all over. Oh,
Think about the shots I just tried to explain. Like, it's hard as hell, man. So
yes.
So like
to make one
to 1, not alone the 5. So when that thing, when you see me celebrate, like, it is true jubilation. I can't explain it. And I look around for the 80,000 people that want to celebrate with me, and I don't see nobody but me.
Not a soul.
It's
Your dog looking at you.
Yeah.
The game has changed.
It has changed, but I mean, so it's true jubilation when it happens. It's like honestly, it's like therapy. Like, can you set this goal? Can you do it? Are you going to be able to get it done? Like, eventually, I know I am, but like, I don't know when. And it's just like, so it's the thing of don't quit. And the more you practice at something, the better you get. And that's what I've noticed with it. And so, I've noticed, like, doing all these trick shots, just how many other people that do other things. There are just a lot of talented people out there in the world that sometimes it doesn't get on TV. Maybe it's on Twitter or Instagram, those kind of things, but just the respect of other people's talents at the same time.
There's so much of it out there. I was eating lunch today somewhere, and they had the Chive TV going in there. And dude, that is just like, I can sit there and watch that all day. It's the same thing, just on a loop of all kind of crazy stuff. And there was a lot of, actually today, some basketball trick shot stuff. And like, there was a whole little segment on that going down. But it's pretty wild watching you do that, especially like that corner pocket second post thing you did.
Oh, yeah.
At first, I didn't understand it, because I was like, okay, he's just hitting the post, but I was like, oh, he's not hitting the post, the first post. That's the second post. He's sliding it through that small slot there.
Yeah,
that is absolutely unbelievable. Like, to me, that is the most impressive thing that I've seen you do.
Well, and the multi-layered, the multi-level ones too, like you're saying, you do that, then you got to go over here and throw a basketball, shoot a 40-foot behind the rim basketball shot, and then throw 2 footballs through the hoop on the other end of the court.
Yeah.
It's like you're almost making them
dreamed
impossible.
of when we were like 10
Yeah.
and playing with our buddies. But you're
And I didn't
doing
know
it and making it happen. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
when I watched the corner pocket thing, at first I thought you were going to knock it down because you're so jacked still. And when you heaved it over there, I thought he's going to break the damn the corner post off. But I noticed, and then I watched the one of you and your son throwing full length footballs in the rim at the same time. If anybody knows, it's so hard to get 2 basketballs. The timing of 1-2 to get in, and footballs from the other end. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, it was cool. Now the corner pocket second pole, I hit 5 in a row. And that was probably the one that I don't think anybody will ever be able to do. So if you go to your high school, just try it. Corner pocket, second pole. And then, but the one with Max and I, it just happened. And so he's lefty, I'm righty. But the ball, if you really just watch the flight of the balls actually have to crisscross and then bounce in off the backboard like that. It was really, when it happened, we were kind of pissed at first because we didn't swish it. But then I'm going, holy smokes. They both went in. They both banked in like doink. So I celebrated. He kind of just took it all in. He'll understand one day how.
Yes, he will.
How cool that was.
How it really happened. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll get it. Dude, how pumped are you? Because I've heard you mention before that you started you played basketball through high school, played at Florida State, but if I understand this right, you really, when you were a kid, you would have loved to have gone to North Carolina and played for Dean Smith. How cool is it now that your sons are at North Carolina? How much fun are you going to have this fall, man?
Yeah, it's college sports are kind of different now, but I grew up in Black Mountain, North Carolina. Roy Williams, he used to coach at my high school before I did. He always used to come back to all my youth ball games, middle school ball games, and recruited me when he was at Carolina, and kind of got to go through the process a little bit with Dean Smith. But so I grew up watching Phil Ford in the Four Corners, and Brad Doherty was in my high school, and Buzz Peterson. I used to watch him play all the time, and like I was an avid basketball nut fan. And but now for my kids, like it's great for them just to kind of blaze their own trail. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Kids are going through a lot. It's hard to explain what's really going on in college sports, and each kid has to find their own way. But they're both excited to play for Mac Brown, the head coach there, Hall of Fame coach, and it's just a good fit for both of them. For me, it's kind of cool for Max a little bit. Chip Lindsey's the offensive coordinator, so we had a connection with him in this the transfer kind of thing with him recruiting him. But then Clyde Christensen, he's the QB analyst who actually was my coordinator at Tampa for a year. So it's kind of good. It's kind of unique that he coached me and then he's getting to coach my son. 20 something odd years later.
Cool, man.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
That is cool. So it's funny. So Chip Lindsey was at Troy for 3 years. Now, he didn't have a ton of success as a head coach, and when you look at that final record, you can go back and look at several of those games. He lost by single touchdowns, single score games. But what he did do is he recruited unbelievably well, and he knew how to develop a quarterback. And like you saw that as soon as John Summerall came in there, and they won 12 games the very first season. It's like he obviously had talent there. Quarterback was in good shape. And so immediately, even though we weren't happy with the success he had in those 3 years with, wins and losses, you realize like, hey, he did some good stuff here. So I think he's in a great spot there in a role that he does really well in. So that's super cool. When I saw that, I was like, man, I think this might be a good spot for him, for Max to go in there and really, really be able to thrive, so that's cool.
Yeah. No, it's a great fit. And I think what goes unnoticed a little bit is just the relationship part of it. Just how do you get along? Do you get along?
Yeah.
Do you talk to your players only in practice and then see you tomorrow? Or do you have a relationship with the kids? And that stuff really matters. It goes a long ways, especially now in college sports. Like, can the coaches have a relationship with the kids besides, how good did you do in today's practice? So that part of it is great. It's just a great fit for both our boys, Max and Jake.
That's awesome.
That's
so awesome.
Cool.
I was reintroduced to you post football because of your videos. And of course, I'm an LSU guy too. We live in here in Baton Rouge. But then Max coming here to LSU, and then it was awesome, and love seeing you at games and whenever the ESPN and all would would go over. So I've been a fan, been cheering for both your boys. And so I'm looking forward. In a Mac Brown system, I think he's going to thrive. You know, he seems to be a grinder like his daddy. He kind of gets that, just, you know, persistent, and the persistency is key. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see what he can do up there, man.
Yeah, last 2 years he went through injury, broke 3 ribs last year, broke his thumb the year before, so kind of got to get over that. Really had, if you look kind of the year he had at LSU, the second year really threw a lot of touchdowns and kind of had some success, and some weird things happened, but it's just a matter of just timing and a fit kind of thing. So excited for him.
Yeah. I think he's got big things coming, man. I'm pumped for him.
Oh yeah, that's going to be awesome. Hey Brad, I do got to say something before I forget about it. I don't want to go on here. So, you know, you're a trick shot master, and what we're getting ready to do is we're going to break the world record for the longest. I've already got the trophy made. This is going to happen. I don't know who's going to break it, but somebody is, for the world's longest cornhole toss. And, you know, so, hey, man, if you happen to be in the area, like I'm in Northwest Florida right here, just Santa Rosa Beach. I don't know if you're on vacation down here. If this time's out later on this summer, maybe you could stop in here and get a few throws in. I mean, you add that to your whole TikTok deal.
I think you got room on your shelf, or we could find a nice carpenter in your area to build another shelf for that trophy, Brad. I think he's
absolutely.
What's the world record now?
So right now it's in Texas, some guy's got it at around 86 or 87 feet. I went ahead and set the trophy at 90. I mean, if something happens between now and then, we'll change it to 93 or whatever the heck it is we need to get to. But yeah, 90 feet is what we're going to be looking for. And I've been out and measured it off and looked at it. It's going to happen. Somebody's
underhand or overhand?
You can throw it either way you want to, as long as you throw it behind the line.
How many attempts do you get?
As many as you want, because we'll sign people up and they come and throw. And we may do it like 5 at a time and let the next person go.
We're going to get this thing done, baby.
We are going to get this thing done.
I may do this in the backyard.
And you know, that's kind of where this all came from. A friend of our show, friend of ours, Marty Smith, you know Marty from ESPN, he was the one initially set the record on air and had the first record set. That was officially, was it 80, Blasey?
It was it was actually like 70 something. It was in the mid
70 something. On air. So we brought him on the show. We were talking about it. Since then, it's been broken a few times, and since then, Blasey's been brainstorming, and now he's putting on this world record-breaking tournament for Guinness Book of World Records.
I just got to get these two clowns to get over here with me and join us live, so we can get this thing done. I'm tired of looking at this trophy. I don't want to own this trophy anymore.
No, and Blasey usually records from Props Brewery there near where he lives, near the beach. It's a big, nice brewery with a huge yard and all that stuff. So we're going to set up a big tournament, bring people in, hopefully get Marty in. We're going to get some people to come. Be the, not judge officials, so we can make sure it gets in the Guinness Book of World Records. So
I think
happening.
Big Bad Brad is going to knock this out.
I think I saw Brad's wheels turning. He's like,
I don't think we're going to
get throws I get. He's ready.
He sends me a video.
I'm going to be going foot to foot to count off 90 feet and 1 inch.
And then he's going to make you throw a over the shoulder basketball shot from half court after you hit it. And
that's probably going to be a combo.
I love it, man.
2 world records. Boom, boom. Watch this. 28 hours later. Yeah. So I'll let you know when we set this up, and you just have to be vacation.
Give me a holler,
and it times out just right. We'd love
to have you we get down to Destin quite a bit, so give me a holler.
There you go.
Perfect.
Awesome. Right.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'm over here on the Alabama side, Gulf Shores, Alabama. So you ever get to the Floribama, let me know. Beer's on me.
Yeah.
But I had 2 other things. I know we take up a lot of your time today, and we definitely appreciate it. I know all the listeners out there are enjoying this. Like I said, all over people from Florida with the memories from the Super Bowl win, and NFL fans for your years in the league. But 2 things we normally talk about on here, which we hadn't today, so we'll hit them real quick. One, were you ever a fan of pro wrestling?
I was, yeah. And so Nikita Koloff, he's a good buddy of mine. And then
Russian Nightmare.
Right. Man, I watched. Yeah, I used to watch all that stuff. Yep.
Him and Magnum TA. Awesome. Yeah, being in the Carolinas, you had to watch the Crockett territories, all that. Oh, you had to. Yeah. Ric Flair. Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Second thing is we always talk about food. Because we love food. Tigs does barbecue reviews. Blasey shows boiling crawfish. I take pictures on the road from different places we eat. What's your during your travels? What's your go-to road food? What's your favorite type of food? And maybe what's your go-to like pre or post game meal?
Well, just in general, like I love like shrimp and grits. Okay, like I love that kind of food, kind of Cajun-y, kind of a lot of seasoned stuff. But shrimp and grits kind of thing, I love all that stuff. Um, pregame meal. Honestly, I wouldn't. I would eat a lot or so the day before, just loading up. But in pregame meal, I'd eat I'd eat like a half a steak. I kind of a weird half a steak, like a pancake, and then like a banana is what I would eat. And then after games, I mean, I would just eat whatever I could get down. So it wasn't a big deal. So
Right.
so if it wasn't a 12 pack, you know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
So,
How many calories do you burn in an NFL game? Do you know?
You should ask me how many calories I burn on a TikTok video.
Those go a lot longer than an NFL game.
That would be better.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lot of work out there. But no, I mean, honestly, those football games, like, really, it's those games are 3 hours and 20 minutes. But then you got the warm ups beforehand, so that's another 50 minutes out there, and then you're in the locker room an hour and a half before the game. Like, there's a lot going on. It's a long day. And so actually, during games, I actually would keep a little bar or something like that, have a halftime, and then have something like a real quick snack after the game just to get something in my body, because it's a long day.
Yeah, that's
your adrenaline gets going. You're like, hell, I forgot to eat.
Yeah, it happens.
Then you get 4 or 5 beers, and you're like, what's happening? Forgot to help soak these jokers up.
After some interceptions or a loss, you're drinking those things anyways too. So
exactly right.
Get rid of that. You're either celebrating or you're in misery. One of the two.
No doubt.
But it's but nutrition, it is a big part of it. That part, honestly, that's a big part. Probably more so in the heat, like in Tampa. When you go back and look at the records over years, like a lot of the records at the beginning of the season, they struggle because it's so hot down there. Honestly, like you're getting IVs on Friday and Saturday, and sometimes Sunday before the game, not after the game, before the game, just trying to get yourself. Go back and look at the records of those guys. The first 8 games compared to the last 8 games, because at the end of the year, the weather's usually it's nice. It's anywhere from between
humidity
60.
comes down. Yep. Everything's nice.
Then you're practicing on grass all the time. You're outside. You're going full speed. Where some teams, it's kind of the cold in the north. It's a little bit different. So teams are built different because of the weather, and how you handle your practice schedule is a big deal too. Training camps were tough.
Mile high effect.
Yeah, 100%. Just as much.
I
never really thought about that, but that's a good point. Yeah, because it's blistering that first month of games down there.
So like you feel like you're practicing in the heat, you're used to it. But honestly, the teams coming in from the north, they're not as dehydrated or fatigued from the week of practice from the heat. So that's where, like, if you have an indoor facility, honestly, you should be practicing indoors. Probably 1.5 of those practices, or do the practice for half a practice, then go back in the indoor, just so you're already in shape from the workouts in the summer. And that being in shape is not the issue. Just dealing with the heat and dehydration, that's the bigger issue more than just that,
Right.
Yeah, no doubt. But before Blasey, I know we're going to start to wrap this up, and Blasey has a fun little segment that we like to play. But I had a buddy of mine named Tommy Chopin. I told him you were coming on the show, and he said that he had a question. This is his question. It's a good one. What do you think, what is the largest contributing factor to losing an NFL game? What is that? Biggest thing? Like, what is the biggest?
Turnovers is, I don't know specifically, but turnovers, it is the number one cause of games. And in the NFL, compared to like college games, college just changed the rules as far as the game clock, where you used to get more plays. And now they used to get the clock would stop after every first down. So you would average about 75 to 80 plays in college. You'd average about 57 to 64 in that range in pros. So you'd only get maybe 9, 10 possessions at the most. So the games are really close. Plus you're not playing against a bunch of, you got to go win the game. You don't get an easy game.
Exactly.
Right, there are no easy games. Yeah,
there are no easy games.
You don't get that. So, but the games are close, so the turnovers matter, and so that's a big deal. It's just a turnover, number one.
Well, that's kind of what led to that question. Was I told him that I had this odd dream last night that somehow we were at some game, and there was a touchdown that came from like a pick six, and I automatically just went to him and I said, turnover differential. And then that was that was it. So then that transpired into that question.
Oh my
so
God.
there you go.
Yeah. Oh,
That's my part of craziness for you.
Yeah, but truthfully, the three things we said real quick on that was we said turnovers were number one, then the rundown ratio was number two. So rundown means like, was it second medium or second long? Was it 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 1? And so those percentages, that's a bit. So turnovers, the rundown ratio, then explosive plays. Anything over 15 yards was an explosive play. And then you get into penalties and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot that goes into it, but you can't play conservative, but you gotta eliminate those little mistakes. Because even a penalty, if you look at the drive charts, just on if you go off sides, one way or the other. If the defense jumps off sides, then you're probably going to score. If you jump off sides, like, not that it's going to happen, but it kills drives, no doubt.
Yeah.
Is that why the game is played so statistically now with Microsoft being a part of the NFL, everybody having tablets and all that? Is it all this data that's just coming in that you can maybe start to move apart here and there? Is that happening behind the scenes? I don't know.
I think the tablets are just honestly just you're watching the plays that took place. So when I played, it was on Polaroids. So you'd look at the black and white Polaroid, but you kind of get a feel for what was happening and all that. But now it's the tablets. So you see the play, but the analytics are like, do you go for it on 4th and 5 when you cross the 45, or should you? And more so in college, do you go for the 2-point play? What's it worth? So you gamble a little bit. College, I think you can gamble just a little bit more on that kind of stuff than the pros. But those analytics, they got the charts over there and they go through it. But at the end of the day, it's about players making plays and believing in the plays and getting it done.
Yeah, and also those tablets are probably to explain the damn rules because they change a few rules every year. That's got to be so frustrating for modern teams and coaches and everybody because you go into it like, now where are we kicking from? And can we do this or can we do that? Every year, they never fails.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
No doubt, Blasey.
Blasey, you got your rundown?
No, we're ready. Yeah. So
this is our favorite part of the show.
It's funny. We actually checked off a few of these. So I had to.
I'm sure we did.
On the fly, I'm going to have to make some adjustments here. We like to do a little thing called Little Bits of Controversy here at the end of our show, and just kind of get your opinion on a few things.
Nothing crazy.
No, nothing too wild. And so NIL in college football, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. I'm all for people making money. I'm not, I don't know how a lot of schools can keep up as this thing goes on. I don't know how, if I'm a businessman and I'm giving money and then the money where that kid is supposed to go to, he's not playing or not performing the way he's supposed to play, those kind of things. But obviously I think, it seems like a lot more money than we knew was going to the schools or the NCAA. So I am glad for the kids to get money, but then, it's a double-edged sword, man. Mm-hmm. So how much you promising a kid that he's going to get to play when maybe he shouldn't have started at the beginning of the season when you paid another kid or a dad was in there talking to the coach or the collective guy. Like, I'm being real about all that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting deal, but it all plays itself out in the end, So
a lot of people have likened it to the Wild Wild West, and I think that's probably it's
crazy.
It sounds like
crazy. It's crazy, but that's where it's at, and somebody's got to get a hold of it. I wish every kid on the team. It's harder from different levels. Is it what size is it? Is it SEC school compared to a lower level school or those kind of things? But you wish each kid on the team was getting some kind of supplement if that's what we're doing compared to maybe your top 10 players, right? And then those kind of things. I wish every kid would get something, and I wish it'd be almost if they're doing that, might as well just do a payroll for the whole team and give everybody pretty much same amount if they could, but that's it's tough. It's tough.
It is. We don't have enough time. That's a whole show in and of itself. I'm glad that we tapped on this here at the end.
Saban's working on it. Fear. Saban's working on it. Saban's working.
Yeah, that's right.
Saban's there to save the day. So better city, Minnesota or Tampa Bay?
Ooh. Yeah, I love both of them. I love both of them.
It's not fair.
Yeah. Hey, it's controversy.
They've both been good to me. I can't. No controversy. They've both been good to me.
They have been.
A lot of good fishing in both. I've fished in many outside of Minneapolis and Minnesota up there. It's beautiful country up there in the summer. I don't know if I could handle those hard winters being from the deep south, but I guess, like I said, you were indoors there. That definitely helped.
We were indoors.
Yeah, that helped. I went to a playoff game with the Saints and that one that they lost with the Hail Mary. I was at that one. But when I left New Orleans, it was 52 degrees. When I got out at the airport in Minneapolis, it was minus 18. I've never felt that before in my life, and I don't ever want to feel it again, to be honest with you. That's terrible.
I went to a random...
Thank God that you played inside the Metrodome back then, man. Ugh.
I went to a random Bears game one time when I was in Chicago, and I remember thinking, there ain't enough liquor in this place to keep me warm from all this. This is ridiculous.
The good thing in Minnesota is it's like going through a rat maze. They have all these tunnels that just go through the buildings that will take you into the stadium. Now, I don't know if it was that way with the Metrodome back then, but that's the way it's set up now. But still, you have to go out at some point. Just for a minute, and when it's minus 18, that is not fun.
Yep.
No, I totally agree. So we're talking about food. So are you a crawfish guy?
I'm not. Nope, I'm not.
Okay.
Can't claim that one.
Can't even. Well, I can't even.
Not even in the time that you were here in Baton Rouge, you didn't ever.
No, I didn't. I didn't do it.
Them?
No. I did. I just ordered something else. So
there you go. He said like shrimp and grits.
Shrimp and grits.
Shrimp and grits.
That's
He's from over there in the Carolinas, man. They love they eat crabs and stuff, but a lot of barbecue. They do shrimp, a lot of fresh fish, different stuff, but similar.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, next time you're down in Destin, I will go ahead and give these guys a shout out. The Bay Restaurant in Santa Rosa Beach, which sits on the bay. Jim Shirley, they've got a really good shrimp and grits there. So if you're down here, to me, it's probably the best shrimp and grits around here. And Pensacola is another place over there that he actually used to be the chef and developed that recipe as well. Shocker of the year. So if you're down here, I would definitely highly recommend that. One last thing here for you. Like when it comes to UAPs and UFOs and aliens or whatever, we talk about that a lot on this show. And I'm just curious if you could tell us about your experience with either UAPs, UFOs, aliens. Have you had any experiences there?
I haven't seen them.
What?
So I don't know. I haven't seen any.
Not even after 15 hours of trying to trick shot outside. You haven't seen something?
Yeah, that's hallucination at 105
that's
degrees
right.
outside. So
you know what it is? And this explains everything. This all just came together beautifully. It's just like he's down in Tampa. He didn't notice the Mons Venus down there. He didn't notice the dollhouse. He didn't notice all that because he's focused and dialed in. They were probably aliens sitting over you, watching you do these trick shots, and you're so focused and dialed in on what you're doing, you don't even pay attention to them. So it makes perfect sense.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. So
I just got to get this ball in there 5 times in a row.
That's it.
That's right.
I love it.
Wrestling aliens is not a real game situation. I'm not going to practice it. I'm not going to let it enter my mind. I'm not going to waste brain space on it.
How is he going to help me make this shot? You're going to help me make
this
shot. Get away.
That's hilarious. But we'll check that one off. Check that one off.
But now we know.
But man, look, man, this has been fun. We've taken way too much of your time tonight. We are so grateful and appreciative for you to come on and come on our show, man. It's been a blast, and hopefully we can catch up with you down the road. If not, at the world, if not breaking the world record.
Yeah, we're going to break a world record in beanbag toss.
That's it. I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to let you know when that date's set for sure.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
Big Bad Brad. Hey, what's your socials
Marty
on
Smith
Big Brad?
versus Brad Johnson World Championship.
Bring in Marty.
It's out there, baby. Bring it on.
Yes.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yes, and good point there, Blasey. What are your socials? How can everybody follow you, Big Bad Brad?
On Twitter and all that, it's Brad_Johnson_14. And you'll see, I post something. It's called Fun Friday. So Fun Friday, that video comes out by 8 a.m. Every video that I do. So great one's coming out this Friday. And all that stuff on Instagram, TikTok. It's the same thing. Brad_Johnson_14. Everything goes Big Bad Brad 14.
Awesome.
So you'll have fun with it.
We'll be retweeting that for sure.
1,000%.
And getting that
this
out there.
This Friday's going to be outstanding. Just to heads you up.
All right.
So
awesome. There's a
Friday
tease. All righty.
We can't wait. And we can't wait at all. So Big Bad Brad, I told Brantley the other day, I was like, hey, Big Brad's following me now on X. I don't think it's the real Brad Johnson. It's obviously got to be a fake. And I kept digging in. I was like, dude, I really think this is the real Brad Johnson, you know, and it's him.
Yep.
And that's when I texted you. That was like at 8:39. By 9:39, we had you not only committed to come on the show, we got the day set down. We're going to sit down on time 1 hour later. So thank you again.
Don't know if you don't ask, right?
That's it.
That's
You
right.
never know
That's
if you
right.
don't ask.
That's right. So
Exactly.
awesome,
Thanks
man.
so
I
much.
appreciate it, guys. Thank you.